Namaste. Today we are looking at one of the traditional theatre dance forms, Rasalila. A lot of you must have seen or heard about it or performed in Rasalila. And Rasalila has been defined by experts as a unique composition which brings together the ritual enactment and the Krishna myth. It is a dance with a performance of one of the vast number of stories of Krishna's life, such as Krishna dancing with the gopis or the milkmaids on the banks of river Yamuna under the light of the full moon, and that is the Sharat Punam, and it is a theme that has been celebrated in most forms of Indian art. In the Vishnu Parva of Mahabharata, there is a vivid description of Krishna's dance with the gopis on a full moon night in autumn. The main feature here is that the gopis are drawn spellbound to Krishna and they dance with him in a circular formation with their hands interlocked. The circular form of dance harks back to a much earlier period in the mention of the dance of the Devas in the beginning of the creation. The Vishnu Puran, Brahma Puran, Agni Puran, Linga Puran all have descriptions of the life and anecdotes of Krishna. It is in the Srimad Bhagavat Puran that we find the most detailed description with an entire chapter, Dashama Skanda, the 10th chapter. It is totally devoted to Krishna Leelas or sports. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, a later work, much later work, that we find mention of Radha as the central figure, in contrast to the other Puran where Krishna is mentioned with gopis. Here I think the character of Radha is introduced. It is in Gita Govinda and Brahma Vaivarta Purana that the description of dance changes with Radha as the main gopi and the dance moves from autumn to spring. Vasantarutu Rasalila, the dance drama on the theme of Krishna and Radha that is performed in many parts of northern India, especially in Manipur, and also in Brajabhumi, Uttar Pradesh, find roots in a special spot. For it is here that the childhood days of Krishna were spent, and therefore places like Mathura, Vrindavan, where he was born, and the river bank of Jamuna in Vrindavan, where he grew up, have special association for Krishna devotees and the dancers as well. Rasalila is a dance drama that depicts the earthly life of Lord Krishna, but has a sacred connection, so it is generally performed within or near a temple. The word Rasa refers to the circular dance on a full moon night in autumn, that is Sharat Punam, when Krishna danced with the gopis by the banks of the river Yamuna. Leela is the word used for all the acts of Vishnu in his avatars on earth. Together, Ras Leela, the term first used in Bhagavad Puran, is the dance, the Ras, followed by dance drama of one of the many Leelas of Krishna. There is a distinct connection between the evolution of this dance form and the development of miniature paintings based on a similar theme, which in turns took inspiration from the literary works in Bengal, Bihar, Gujarat and Rajasthan. The wave of Vaishnavism and Bhakti movement that swept through the country also saw a parallel of the theme of Krishna and Rama in poetry, painting, sculpture, dance and drama in the 14th and 15th century. Ramlila and Rasalila, the two dance forms that express love of Ram and Krishna, evolved around their time as an entertainment forms that expressed devotion to the deity. Rama and Krishna are the most popular of the Vishnu Dashavatar, the 10 forms in which Vishnu has appeared as an avatar on the earth. However, the inspiration and origin of Rasalila can be also traced to a much earlier time. The tales from Puranas, especially the Bhagavad Puran, detail the childhood pranks of baby Krishna that form the theme of Rasalila. The story of Krishna's enchanting bansuri or flute that draws gopis like a magnet is also found here. Rasalila performance is generally done by a group where the performers are trained from childhood by the leader, who is often the main singer too. Young boys begin training from the age of 7 to 8 and begin by playing one of the gopis. There are two main leads, Radha and Krishna, in the group that varies from 10 to 12 people and goes up to 18 to 19 to 20. The main singer and his assistants sing out most of the verses that tell the story of Krishna. The chorus takes up the refrain and also sings when the actors are preparing to come on the stage. Usually the Rasalila has two parts. The first is Nitya Rasa, where there is singing, dancing, but no dialogue, and focus is on the love between Radha and Krishna, where their laukik or earthly love is displayed as a manifestation of their eternal celestial and alaukik bond. The second part, or the Leela, is based on the several legends around the birth and boyhood days of Krishna in Mathura and Vrindavan. The destroying of various demons, the stealing butter, the demand for tax or daan from the milkmaids, the overpowering of the Kalia snake are but a few of the stories that are the themes of this Leela. There is the Krishna Janma Leela, the birth of the baby Krishna, the Makhan Chori Leela, that is the stealing of butter from the pots hung at the height in the homes, the Kalia Mardan Leela, the killing of snake Kalia, who is poisoning the river Yamuna and its waters, the Madhura Gamana, or the Mathura Gamana, or the going to Mathura by Krishna and Balaram to challenge Kamsa. The great last Leela is danced by moonlight on the banks of river Jamuna, where the gopis are attracted by the sound of his melodious flute. Krishna seems to be dancing with each of them and then suddenly disappears, leaving the gopis perplexed. The songs sung in Rasalila use the classical poems composed on Krishna Leela, but also add their own songs. The rasa or emotion is based on describing the spring, the sound of the quail, the blossoming of the flowers, the refreshing use of ubattan with saffron, musk, sandalwood, and the blossoming of creepers and trees, and especially the kadamba trees, the description of Radha's beauty, which all contribute to the Shringara rasa. The humor is provided by Manasukha, a kind of clownish character in Rasalila, who is a friend or Sakha of Krishna. The instruments used for music are usually two harmoniums by two singers, small cymbals or jhanj and tablas. Though the Krishna Lila songs speak of flute, it is seldom, if ever, used to create the music for Rasalila. Originally, the music was Dhrupad Dhamar, holy and rasya, but nowadays it's influenced by more folk and modern forms. The songs often describe the beauty of Krishna, extolling on all his charming features. The perfection of his beauty has been described beautifully in the well known and well loved verses of Vallabhacharya, Madhurashtakam hymn, which describes the handsome appearance of Krishna, Adharam Madhuram, Badanam Madhuram, Hasitam Madhuram, and such. This is a verse that extols the sweetness and charms of Krishna, the Lord of sweetness. The most prominent emotion or sentiment of Rasalila is Madhurya Rasa, the sweetness and delight that Krishna brings to his devotees. The Rasalila uses the creations of some of the greatest Hindi poets. The main dialect is Braj Bhasha, which dominated the literary scene of Hindi for several centuries. So, the singers of Rasalila have a rich repertoire at their disposal. The Rasalila plays also reflect that they have been composed with great literary skill, as they belong to families that are learned. The dance drama is performed in a circle or mandala. It is a simple circular space with just a throne that can accommodate the performers as well as the spectators. The throne or simhasan is either made from chairs or tables covered with a bright cloth, or can be permanent structure. A curtain usually separates the throne from the rest of the space. There is not much need for props beside the bansuri or flute, and sometimes a sword or gada or mace. Krishna's costume is usually described as a yellow pitambar or dhoti and jarakasi jama, a resplendent tunic. However, in Rasalila, he wears a special costume, Kataka Kanchi, which is brightly colored and extends from his chest down to the ankles in several folds and pleats, and is held by a sash or pataka at the waist. He usually wears a bright full sleeved tunic type blouse. In the second part of Rasalila, he usually wears a dhoti or silk pitambar. It is his headdress of crown with a plume of peacock feathers that sets him apart. The more mukut is a distinguished part of Krishna's costume. It has a tiara, peacock feathers, beads, and a lat or curls of his hair that hang down to his shoulders. At the back is a black cloth, plain or ornamented in pattern, which is his choti, and it is up to his knees. According to some, it is related to the Kaliya Nag that Krishna vanquished. He is usually bejeweled with many necklaces, beads and garlands, as well as kundal earrings. This characteristic costume of Krishna is seen in miniature paintings from Rajasthan and Gujarat too, and seem to have been quite old and established. All the performers have facial makeup in the form of sandalwood paste designs, sometimes with shiny bits of mica. Radha too is resplendent with much jewellery, with her bright ghagra choli, the traditional full skirt and blouse, and odhani of bright colors. The other gopis are dressed similarly, but Radha stands out with her bright and brighter, more colourful costume and ornate jewellery and crown. Once the costume and makeup is applied, the young boys are considered to be Swarupa or incarnations of the part that they are playing. They are treated with due respect by the devotees and carried on the shoulders by other members of the troupe. The roles of Krishna, Radha, Gopi are all enacted by child men actors. The Rasalila is a very interactive form of art in that the audiences are not merely spectators, and their participation and jubilant cries in between, as well as occasional joining in the chorus, helps to create the right devotional atmosphere. Sometimes they may be inspired to stand up and dance as the people around them clap to encourage him. Audiences sit on the ground. The performance begins with an invocation or Mangalacharan, followed by an arti or a song. The gopis perform arti before Krishna and Radha, who stand close with Krishna's left arm around Radha. Krishna and Radha are then invited to the Ras Mandala by the gopis. In what is called the Gopi Prarthana, Krishna in turn asks Radha to dance. Gopis with Radha and Krishna dance in a circle to the beat tat tat thai, tat tat thai, tat tat thai. Then Krishna and Radha dance alone one by one, followed by the gopis who dance in pairs. Then there is a group dance, after which Krishna performs the Mayur dance on his knees. In the elaborate detailed Rasalila, there are as many as 10 elements of dance. The movements are simple with a lot of clapping and intrinsic element of joy and fun. There is a segment where the gopis copy every gesture and movement of Krishna, very much like the children's game, and follow the leader. There is an interval of 5-10 minutes, after which the curtain is drawn. After the interval, Krishna comes out and speaks as in a sermon. Then there is a group dance, after which Krishna dances and sings with Radha, followed by a dance where he dances with the gopis while Radha is seated on the throne. Krishna rearranges the folds of her dress and tucks away any stray locks on her hair and generally restores her to neat appearance after the dance. With Radha and Krishna in the center, all the performers put their arms on each other's shoulders, forming a line that moves as one in different directions. There is the dalliance of Radha and Krishna. The last part of Rasa is a hymn of conclusion as Radha and Krishna sit on the Simhasana to give darshan to the audience. Sometimes between the two portions of Ras and Leela, there is a pravachan or sermon by Krishna, who steps near the audience and speaks to them for a few minutes, but in some case this might be omitted. The curtain is drawn for a while before the second part begins. The Leela is like a one-act play, using one from almost 100 anecdotes and episodes of Krishna's life in the Braj. There are dialogue, song, music and some amount of dance. The dialogues are in prose as well as poetry. Some of it is recited, some sung. There are no rules that Ras Leela has been called an unwritten drama, although almost 150 variants of the Leela may be performed. These are not recorded or documented. Then the scene from Krishna's childhood are connected with poetry, prose and song. The Ras Leela of Braj, only the Leela or the spot that occurred in Braj are enacted on stage, the Bal Leelas or the childhood pranks and miracles. It begins with his birth and ends with his killing of Kamsa. The stories of Krishna in Dwaraka in Gujarat or the battlefield of Kurukshetra are not a part of one act plays of Ras Leela in Braj. The dance in Ras Leela is characterized by an informal feeling of fun, of a dance by children, for indeed the dancers are young boys. There is seldom, if ever, any of the use of Hasta Mudra of the classical dance, but there is a lot of action and energy with hops, skips, whirling and turning. There is a detailed and elaborate plan of dance with slow, medium and fast tempos and complex choreography of open and closed circles of the kind described in Natya Shastra, that is the Pindibandhas, Shrinkhala, open and Gulma, closed circles. As the tempo of the dance increases, the heightened excitement is echoed by the audience, who are in the mood of ecstasy and total absorption and adoration. And there is also a lot of Rasalila beyond Braj. In the beginning of the Varsha Ritu, as the Janmashtami approaches, the Rasalila in Vrindavan is performed almost all day and night in the monsoon months of Shravan and Bhadra. The performances are in temples as well as in the houses of the devotees. There are programs of 10 to 15 days or even a month. The travelling Banjatra was a travelling troupe enacting in a different location each night, and is planned as well in advance and is accompanied by a band of devotees. In each location, they enact the Leela that is associated with that place, like Jamna Leela in Gokul, Dhenuka Sukha Bardhana in Sagartha, Panghat Leela at Kokilaban, and Kamsabadha at Mathura. In Braj, there is also an increase in performance around Holi, but at other times the troupe may travel further afield at invitations. Rasdaris belonging to the Vallabha Sampradaya may get invitations from Gujarat and Bombay. The travelling troupe of Rasamandali have a long history, long before modern methods of transport were available. Although the main language is Hindi, they have travelled across India according to the records of the Mandalis. According to some scholars, the plays based on Krishna miracles have been performed in Mathura for at least 2000 years. The wide variety of themes found in Mathura is amazing, both in diversity and refinement. To name just a few is Antaradhan Leela. The gopis become vain by attaining attention given by Krishna, so he disappears, becomes Antaradhan, and appears only after they have been humbled by the separation. Aankh Michoni Leela. Krishna and Balaram play a variation of blind man's bluff, but Krishna always gets caught easily because of his tinkling ankles give him away. Gocharan Leela. Krishna pursues his family that he is old enough to take the cows with other cowherd boys. In the wooded pastures, Krishna plays and dances with his mates. Chand Leela. The Bal Krishna sees the moon and wants to play with it. His mother Yashoda fills a platter with water in which the moon is reflected, so he can play happily with the moon. Jamuna Leela. Krishna is born in prison where his parents have been confined by the cruel Kamsa, who is sure to kill the newborn. But through a series of miracles, his father Vasudev is able to take baby Krishna to safety to the house of Nanda and Yashoda. Dana Leela. When the gopis or milkmaids bring the curd to sell in Nandgaon, Krishna and his gop mates demand a tax or dan in kind in the form of curd and butter. The gopis go to Jashoda to complain, but in the end Krishna does get his fill. Nauka Leela. The milkmaids or the gopis going to market across the river are offered a boat ride by Krishna disguised as a boatman, but he tells them that they must listen and lighten their burden to fit into his small boat. He does so by eating the butter and curds and throwing the pots into the river. Mali Leela. Krishna comes to Radha in the guise of a flower seller or Mali and offers to massage her feet. But Radha and her friends see Krishna's Banamala and recognize him. As we all know very well, no form can be ignorant or not pay any notice to the changes around the social, cultural, political, economical. And so, though Rasalila has a long history, there have been changes in its popularity and performance at various times. Repression under some rulers was followed by non-interference during the British regime, and there was encouragement and patronage by princely states. This was changed at the time of independence, as the princely states were no longer able to support the Braj performers. Later, the Braj Leela Kendra was founded to encourage and sustain the art form by collecting its literature, supporting performers, and awarding deserving artists. Some changes in performance are inevitable, as the replacement of the oil lamps by the electric lights. However, this is not a mere technological change. The bright facial makeup dotted with mica and sequins, the traditionally bright costumes, the tinsel and foil ornaments that look so good in the soft light of the lamps may look gaudy and even tawdry in the bright light of the bulb. Halogens and use of spotlights and amplifiers, changing color lights is inevitable, but it also changes the character of Rasalila from a participatory event to a performance. Braj Leela has therefore a long and interesting link with many other parts of the country and has been influenced by and in turn influenced other art traditions in time and space, including classical forms like Manipuri and Kathak. It has linkages with ancient Sanskrit literature, with poets of note of Hindi, while the development of Rasalila form also runs parallel to the development of Bengali, Assamese, Gujarati and Rajasthani languages. Although a Desi or folk form, it has enriched Margi traditions of classical performing arts. In miniature paintings, schools from various parts of the country, we find the Rasalila echoed in inspiration from literary sources as well as the aesthetic affinity. So many Ras mandals are found in sculptures as well. So Ras Leela has remained, and I think always remain, and very vibrant, active dance and dance theatre form of India. Thank you.